Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is part 2 of the Daiwa BREAM Australian Open. In this episode, I'm talking to the winner, Jamie McKeown. So there's a lot in this one. Jamie spoke about how he broke down the system, the lures he used, the techniques, and probably more importantly, the mindset and the things that went through his mind while he was catching the fish. So if you're looking to try and catch some more fish and upgrade your skills, there's something here. If you're a tournament angler and you're thinking, how do I actually approach a tournament, break down a system, and what should be going through my mind and maybe what shouldn't be going through my mind, there is something in this for you. And if you want a couple of cheap shots at Morgo, there's a couple there too. Anyway, let's roll the intros and we'll get straight into it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here is your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
So here we are with the big one. Coming in first place, we've got an angler dropping 5 fish for 3.15 on the Tuesday. Backing it up on the Wednesday with 5 fish for 3.615. Then on the Thursday, bringing in 3.655, which gave him 15 fish for 10.405 kilos. For the third time in the Australian Open, I have Jamie McKeown. Mate, welcome back to the show.
How you going, mate?
Mate, it's an amazing achievement to win it once, but to win it 3 times is pretty good going.
Yes, it's one of them things. It's once is you just pinch yourself at once, and then twice it's like that was cool. Probably never going to happen again. And then 3 times it's wow. This is it's an unbelievable moment as an angler myself, mate. It's still something that I'm aware it's happened, but I don't quite think that it's the sort of achievements really sunken in that much yet.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a massive achievement, and there's only a couple of people have got multiple times on there. Only one other angler that's got his name on there 3 times, but we know that doesn't count.
Yeah, I think it's got a bit of an asterisk beside it, mate. Like it's Morgo. And he got it a couple of years ago, and I think it was 2016 or 17, and I think he beat Chris by probably 20 grams or something like that. But his first win, I think, was in 2010 or something like that with his brother Tim in the teams event. So I don't really think he's comparing apples with apples, because we all know Tim was the better bream angler and probably caught more than him anyway.
That's right. So look, so to be fair, he's probably 2.5 times winner.
Yeah, he was half of the third one, mate.
There you go. Well, I got to tell you, he did give it a bit of a shake-up right at the end this year.
Yes, mate. Yeah, he come in with a wet sail like Morgo does. It's hard for Morgo not to get onto those big fish 3 days in a row. So yeah, I was glad he gave me a little bit of a head start on day one.
100%. Look, while we're on the achievement sort of bandwagon, what other trophies you got with you at the moment?
Mate, I have the Queensland Open trophy from last year, and I've also got the grand final trophy sitting up there.
Yeah, so you've got that. So you're now moving forward into the rest of the year. In terms of big wins, you've got Queensland Open again.
Yeah, mate. Yep.
It looks like we got a Victorian Open.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the grand final. So there's 3 more events, mate. Could be a great year.
Yeah. I'm digging the big open events at the moment and the grand finals. I don't know what's going on with the qualifiers. I feel like I'm off the pace a little bit, and then when it comes to the bigger events, I put my head down and I get stuck into it a bit better. But yeah, it's just the way it's rolling at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Let's get into it. So for your results this year were extremely consistent. The only thing that I think was cool about your numbers is they went up over the period, which is impressive in itself. Let's go around to practice day. How'd you go practice day?
Mate, practice day was, so I hit the water, and of course every year in the Australian Open, my first stop is at Sow and Pigs Reef, and I spend probably each year in the last few years, it's been less and less time there. because there's just been nothing there. I reckon I spent probably, mate, 15 minutes there just for old time's sake, sort of thing. Nothing there, and started to crack on with the plan from there. So yeah, so from there I pretty much, I think you and Tommy saw my screenshot from my GPS on day 3. So that was, so the stuff east of the bridge was in the bays and stuff. That was probably the least run tracks, and they were from, I did spend day 1 a small amount of time east of the bridge, just east of the bridge, around, is it the zoo part, not Luna Park, the other one, that bay there.
I'd
So
like to
yeah,
help.
yeah, mate, I'm hopeless with names and stuff as well. So yeah, so I spent some time there on day 1, but I did fish. So my pre-fish plan is pretty basic. When I know, being Sydney Harbour, there's so many boat holes. Last year I come second to Daniel, and I just fished boat holes for sort of 2.5 days. So I knew, and the grand, like after fishing the grand final, I know I'm confident in that style of fishing, and I know there's enough area there for me to do that flat out for 3 days and not have to worry about anything else. So how I break down a system like that for a practice day is try and fish as many as those sort of areas, not so much a particular boat hull or anything like that. I'm looking for areas in Sydney Harbour. The areas are vast, so you'll have really clean water and you'll have really deep water, mostly east of the bridge. And then you go up west of the bridge and you get into Five Docks and Hen and Chicken and those other sort of bays, Lane Cove, Iron Cove, and they're all shallower. So say maybe 12-foot sort of thing, and the waters can be coloured. So it's not so much it's dirty, but it'll be a greener colour that's not so crystal clear like it is east of the bridge. So my idea is try to work out where numbers are, mate. I'm not looking for big fish. I'm looking for numbers. So if I go in and do, say there's a wedge of boat holes that might be 50 or something like that in one sort of group, I'll go in and I'll just go, all right, I'm just going to do 5, and I'll go 1 on the outside and just work my way in till I get in shallower into the inside sort of boat hole. So I'll just do 5 or 6. And mate, if I get hits or catch fish off most of them boat holes, it'll be all right, this is an area I'm going to come back and fish. So in saying that, like, if I go to an area and I get maybe a couple of better quality fish, it'll be like, okay, I'm going to come back here first. This is going to be one of the spots that I go to first. And that's how my practice day rolled out. I started east of the bridge, fishing the boat holes, got a few fish, and it was like a little bit hard. And then I went into Iron Cove, and they had a sewage spill or something there a couple of weeks prior or something, and mate, it was horrible. The water quality was horrible, but I pulled a 36 forker like third cast, and there's not much else going in there. So he was a lonesome sort of bream going on in there. So it's like I never went back there during the comp.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I just worked my way up. I did go into Lane Cove and just fished, because I fished a lot of Lane Cove last year as well. So I fished areas that I didn't fish last year. So I am pretty confident if I've fished somewhere a year before, the fish are generally going to still be there, other than Iron Cove because they had the sewage spill or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm pretty confident that fish are going to be in the area. Like they're going to be, if they're not on the same hole they were last year, they'll be nearby anyway. And then I worked my way up, all the way up to the Parramatta Bridges.
Okay.
And yeah, just hitting boat holes and the bays and stuff that they're in. And I started catching, the further up the system I went, the better quality of the fish, to the point where it's, you know what, I'm just burning fish now, better quality fish that I don't want to be catching and go home. And that was my day.
Yeah.
So that was, and it was, the pre-fish was tough, but it wasn't as tough as it was leading into during the tournament days.
Okay. So you've basically done a big, let's just call it a milk run.
Yeah.
How do you go about, okay, you caught some here, making notes, you're marking your sounder?
Yeah, I don't put marks in the sounder, mate. Even though I fish an area, I may not go back to it
Sure.
throughout the comp. Like I just like to go. Like sometimes you'll go in and you'll find some boats that have got too much crap growing on them. They'll have a heap of weed growing on them and be like,
Mm.
I don't want to find that on a tournament day because I've just wasted 20 minutes running to it and mucking around there, sort of thing. So I'd rather know that, okay, can't fish them boat holes because they've got too much weed growth on them. That's too hard to fish. So yeah, I don't want to find that on comp day. So yeah, I'll go in and look at boats and have a cast and see what's around, sort of thing, and then just keep moving into the next ones. And yeah, more so Sydney Harbour, I was more trying to break it down as in, okay, these fish, because it's hard for us being up here, is we don't exactly know when fish spawn down in the harbour or in those sort of areas. For me, it's okay, so what are these fish doing? If we were in Queensland, you're getting ready for a pre-spawn. So
Yeah.
they might be they might be staging somewhere deeper or close to the main river to get ready to run out and do their thing. So for me, I was trying to work that out. Like, where are we going to find concentrated numbers in clean water, close to the main river, running water, or are they still up in the shallow bays that are more your river sort of creek
Yeah.
fish sort of thing, resident sort of thing? So that's what I was trying to work out. And mate, I wouldn't say I thought west of the bridge had a better quality fish, but there were fish everywhere. Like I fished Middle Harbour on the way home as well and caught fish up there, and I was like dead set going there day 2.
Yeah.
Got there, and then I was dead set going there day 3 and never got there either. Yeah, so there was fish everywhere, but yeah, it's just one of them things of it's what with how I fish, I can definitely get lucky with some of the choices I make, and it can definitely also go the other way with a flip of a coin. There's no right or wrong decision until the end of the day, and you're not going to know it ever that it was the right one or the wrong one unless you
Yeah.
win.
Unless you win, and it doesn't matter whether it was right or wrong because it worked.
That's right. Yeah.
So, hey, awesome. All right. We come around to the Tuesday. So you've already fished for what, 4 days straight? Yes.
Yes.
So Friday,
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you're already
Yep.
probably getting tired.
Yep.
But first day of the Open. Tell us about where you went first up and where your first legal came from.
Yep. Okay. So my first up spot was Hen and Chicken Bay. So run around there, and I had my first legal in the boat. My observer said it was 7:08.
Wow. So maybe first fish of the comp for everyone.
I'm not sure, not too sure, mate. I wasn't looking at that stage. When it's go time for me in those sort of early hours of the comp, I'm 100% focused on just jamming that bag in the boat as quick as I possibly can. So I reckon I had the bag in the boat before 8 o'clock. I reckon I had the bag in the boat within the first 10 boat holes I fished.
Wow. Okay. So tell us then, the big question everyone's asking, okay, what's the technique? What are we doing?
Yeah, okay. So Morgos, there are some ABT highlights. I think I've seen them. They're either coming out tonight or they're already out as we speak. So mate, I use the lures, obviously the little crankbaits, and they are tuned to swim. So mate, for me, fishing, tournament fishing, and this is what I was explaining to all of my observers, is that, mate, my time in the tournament hours, I want to lure in the water unless I'm moving spots. So I don't want to be mucking around with tying leaders or doing things I shouldn't be doing because I'm not going to be catching fish. So while I'm in those tournament hours, if my rod's not in the water, I'm giving someone else an opportunity to beat me. So yeah, so I will have 2 or 3 little Redic 40s or the ZipBaits Khamsin Tinies, and I will tune them to swim from right to left because I just feel I can set the boat up a lot better approaching it, and I can cast and the lure will swim from the right side and go under the boat hole like that.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm comfortable in doing it. And then I'll do that and I won't bother going down the other side. I will
Okay.
have one lure set up to go from left to right just in case there's a rope or some sort of something stopping me from fishing that side of the hull. But 95% of the time I'm fishing I'm approaching it from the bow of the boat.
Yeah.
So it's bow of my boat, bow of the moored boat, and I'm casting down the right-hand side of the moored boat and bringing it back. No bites, move straight on.
Okay. Okay. So a couple of questions. Are you casting, well, like which hand are you winding with? You're casting with your right hand and swapping, or what are you up to?
Yeah, no, so I cast with right-handed. So I'm
Yep.
right-handed. So yeah, cast right-handed and then rod in the left hand, reel them with the right hand.
Okay. So
So
you
yeah,
swap
so
hands.
yeah. So yeah, I'm not one of the one-hand casters or anything like that, mate. I'm not that good with that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, so that's yeah, wind right-handed, cast right-handed, hold the rod in the left.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And all right. Tell us, you run through two lures there.
Yep.
Tell us about those two lures.
Okay, the ZipBaits Khamsin Tiny has been around for ages. It's not always readily available, and that was the one that did that. This color seems to be a great Sydney color
Yeah.
for some reason. It's just for some reason it looks exactly like a white bait. So yeah, it's a great lure. Have had lots of success on that lure, and we're just expecting these to hit the market very soon. They're a Redic, Samaki Redic 40, so 40 mil, and they are specifically designed to do the same sort of thing. So
Yeah.
they're some silent suspending lure. Josh has designed them so you can't really
Just,
probably so you can see the scallop in the bib.
yeah.
So I think I was showing you at the day.
Yeah.
Um, the toe point's actually recessed into the scallop, which means the toe point is facing instead of it facing up. So instead of it being directly up, it's facing forward.
Yeah.
So you only have to just a small tilt of the toe point, and that will be perfect. So it's a lot more user friendly for people to tune. They're not specifically designed just to. This is. I approached Josh. It must be 4. We were talking about today. He said He looked back at the email trail, and he said it was almost 4 years ago that
Yeah. Wow.
I started talking to Josh about this lure, and it's been back and forward, getting it right, designing it so it was easy to tune, and then if people buy it and want to tune it, and then okay, think oh, I'm going to go out and fish a rock wall now, and I want to use the same crank to fish the rock wall. He wants it to be easy for the punter to go, okay, I'm going to tune it back so it swims nice and straight now. So he wants it. He's always thinking of the customer,
Yeah.
the person buying the lure. Yeah, so he's nailed it.
Yeah.
With the design of the bib and the toe point, and they have all the cool colors that the Redics already come in as well with your white bait and that sort of thing. So, mate, very cool lure. There will be some footage with Morgo and I will be doing in the next sort of week or two in preparation for the Queensland Open, being the Samaki being the naming rights sponsor. So yeah, we'll be doing a whole how to and how cool are these lures very soon.
Fantastic. And coming into the Open,
Yep.
how many did you have?
Okay, so zip baits are on a massive shortage at the moment. I did source a few from our friend at fishing.com, and my other friend, Mark Sarek, he just said, here's my box of zip baits, go and win. And I was able to snavel a few of the Redic 40s off Josh. These are the ones I had down in Sydney, are prototype lures, so they're not actually, they don't have the casting weight or anything in them, so they were working that well without the casting weight in them. I can't wait to get the real deal ones in my hand, and they'll come with already fitted with the decoy hooks and all the cool prickly stuff.
Yeah, nice. All right. Come back. Let's go back round to Hen and Chicken Bay.
Yep,
You've got your bag.
yep,
I assume it's just an average bag at this point.
yeah, mate. Yeah, it was. I think I had I think the first fish was probably a 27 forker sort of thing, and I did in that first 5. I did have a 32 or a 33 forker, which was pretty good because I knew it was going to be fishing tough, and I knew that those sort of 32, 33 forkers were going to be key fish for your bag sort of thing. So when I caught that, I pretty much knew that would be in my bag at the end of the day. So yeah, it was that first hour and a half. The bite was pretty good. It wasn't too bad, but then the sun come up, it just glassed out, and it become a grind. And when I say it was a grind, it was like I'm not getting I'm getting bites, but I'm getting short strike bites. or I can see fish and they'll follow it right out and won't commit to it, or I can see big fish following it out and they'll just sit and look at it and sit and look at it and sit and look at it, and then a little keyring bream will just come out and just destroy the lure or something stupid like that. Like, just frustrating stuff. But yeah, you just keep casting, you just keep throwing, and it was probably, it was one of them. It was just a chip away sort of day. Like, it was, you have those fish and you just upgrading centimeter at a time until you get it to, I think the smallest I had in the bag was, I think the smallest I had in the bag was 30. I think I had the 33, 32, and two 31s and a 30.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was just all that sort of solid 30 centimeter sort of mark, which I was happy with. And because I know in the grand final and in the Australian Open last year and year before, I was too slow out of the blocks on day one and gave everyone else too much of a head start. I was definitely happier this year, only being, I think it was like 400, 500 grams behind Muss, who was in first, and pretty confident I could keep that same bag weight at the minimum sort of thing. That was, I thought, it's always,
Yeah.
for me, going into those 3-day comps, my first day is usually the lightest, and I can usually build on it from there, because although pre-fish day I've got an idea of where fish are in better numbers, if I'm going to go back and fish the same holes, if I think it's an area that will replenish, which a lot of those places are, because you're just plucking one fish out of maybe that's 20 up under the hole, and they might follow the fish out and you pull it out and put it in your live well, and those fish have to turn around and go somewhere. So usually they just go back to the boat hole,
Yeah.
and not many people are going to go back and fish that area. So they're not going to see another lure for another 24 hours, and they'll be completely forgotten about what just happened. So I can, even though it's tournament day, I'm still pre-fishing and learning sort of thing. So I can go into a set of holes that might have 50 or 100 boats in it, and I can start going, okay, I caught fish off this 6, didn't catch anything off that one. There's 3 really clean boats over there that aren't holding fish. So I can start reducing the amount of casts at boats that aren't holding fish pretty quickly on day one. And then I can refine it further over the 3 days. So it's, okay, I'm going in here and I'm going to fish these 10 boats out of the 30, and then I'm going to move to the next spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're basically refining, you're eliminating, you're probably
Yeah.
eliminating is probably the thing that's getting you there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So as I said earlier, that my whole mentality of tournament fishing for me is the most important thing out of tournament fishing is on the tournament days is the lure in the water all the time. So I just cannot stand wasting time when I should be fishing or making casts at places that aren't going to catch fish or not confident in catching fish. So over those 3 days, I'm not going to waste my time with those 20 boats that I haven't had a bite off in the last 3 days, including pre-fish and whatever. I'm just going to do these ones that I know have been holding fish, or these ones. You'll start to learn what growth is holding the fish as well. You'll have some boats that will have a black slimy sort of growth that's like they haven't long been anti-fouled. They might only have been in the water a couple of months or something since they are anti-fouled, and they haven't got barnacle or anything like that growing on them. And then you'll have other boats that have not been anti-fouled or looked after for the last 10 years, and they'll just have shit hanging off them everywhere.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, so that's hard to fish. That one's not holding fish. These ones are perfect. It's like the 3 bears mentality:
Yeah.
too hot, too cold, just right. So I break that down while I'm even during the tournament days and just refine it even further. So I can stop wasting time on. I'm not going to waste 30 minutes fishing those boats. I know these ones have been holding fish. Let's do them ones.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What you said, it rings true with what you said about your fishing in general, and particularly with this comp, like your bag's just built over
Yeah,
time. So on day one, did you lose any fish? Did you lose anything? You go, oh, I really needed that.
yeah. Okay, so you have moments throughout those big comps, the opens and the grand finals and stuff like that, where you will do something really cool, or you'll do something and it goes against you, and you think that's not good. So I reckon it was probably within that first sort of hour and a half on the first day. I got smoked twice in Hen and Chicken Bay, and one of the fish I saw, and it was an absolute giant. It was, it would have been a over kilo fish for sure, and it was after. So I had lost one before that, and it was like that was a big fish. This one was a giant, and I lost that, and I thought that could be costing me the Open. Those two fish right there, and it's like we're in not 2 hours in on day one,
Yeah.
and you're thinking that stuff, and this could be hard, especially knowing that it was going to be hard, and lost those two really big fish on in the first couple of hours. That's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big part of these, particularly the big tournaments, just the mind games that go inside your head, potentially going, hey, I've just blown it, and
Yep.
you're only 2 hours in.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, mate. And that's, it like, I think day one, I lost probably 4 or 5 fish that I reckon probably at least 3 of them would have probably ended up in the bag as really big fish. And the other 2 were questionable whether they would or not because I didn't see them.
sure.
And sometimes they just get you, mate, and there's nothing you can do. It was one of, at the end of the day, I was a little bit disappointed with those opportunities that I was presented and wasn't good enough to angle them out. And I thought, you've blown it already on day one, and then the weights come in. It's okay. That's not too bad. I'm still there or thereabouts. So yeah, it's just one of the thing. I think everyone has those opportunities and those bites every day, and it's just the ones that stick usually make it right. And it's usually the ones that stick that you can pinpoint and go, yeah, that I won the Open with those bites. And I'm day one going, yeah, I just lost the Open with those bites. So it wasn't what you usually hear. Like you get the moments of, those moments are the ones that stick, that go right when you win. It wasn't that at all on day one for me.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Like you said, you came back in, you had over 3 kilos. You're definitely in touch.
Yeah.
You're in second place?
Fourth after day one.
Fourth. Okay.
Yeah.
So fourth place, but still obviously in touch. All
Yeah.
right. Wednesday morning. Tell us about how
Yeah.
you started there. Did you go back up into Hen and Chicken?
No, so Wednesday morning I swapped things over a bit with Hen and Chicken being the place where I lost the big fish and caught that one sort of half decent fish as well. I felt that the bite there was not a really early first thing in the morning bite. It was more of the sun come up, and it was only shallow, so it was 6 feet of water. So I was waiting for that sun to come up a little bit, not be super bright, but just come up a little bit. It brings the fish up off the bottom a little bit. They'll get right up high underneath the boat hull sometimes. So I went into 5 dock, which is the boat ramp we use at Drummoyne. We put in there every morning, and there's a heap of boats on one side of the bay, and there's a heap of boats on the other side of the bay. So I didn't pre-fish it. I just thought I'm going to go there because I haven't fished in there, hadn't seen anyone fishing in there when I was running around, and I thought it's one bay away from Hen and Chicken, and it's got plenty of boat holes in there that I can go and hit. And then if it's not working, it's literally a 5-minute run to Hen and Chicken.
That's right.
So I started in there with no real expectation of smacking it quick or anything like that. Just went in there just to see if I could get a bag, and then go into Hen and Chicken and see if I could get some of the bigger ones.
Sure. And from 5 dock, how'd you go in there?
Mate, 5 dock was really good. It was really good. Went in there, and I think it was second boat hole, had the first keeper in the well. Went to the next boat hole and saw there was a lot of fish on the bottom on this particular boat, and it was like going to throw in the Muss. So I was in between cranking the boat holes. If I saw fish low in the water column, so more towards the bottom or sitting right on the anchor block, I would throw, if it was less than 10 feet, I would throw the mini Muss. And if it was more than 10 feet, the mini Muss is only, I think, 3 grams. It's fairly light. If it was more than 10 feet, so the ones that were the 20 feet, I was throwing the crab, the Danstead PML Crab Claw. So that's a bit heavier though. So that's about 4 grams, 4.5 grams. So anything under sort of that 10 feet, the claw was just plummeting too fast, whereas the muss was perfect. The little muss was perfect. Yeah, so come in there, saw a heap of fish down low, threw the little muss in, and saw them all just swim towards it and do nothing. And I thought, oh, yeah, right. So I just lifted it once, mate, and just went bang, and it was 34 fork, and I was like, yeah, cool. That's a good morning to get that second fish on the third boat hole sort of thing. And then, yeah, so then I just alternated between those sort of three styles, I guess. The heavy claw when I was out wider in the deeper holes, the lighter one when I was in tighter, when it was shallower, and cranking as well. So I was then using the live scope a lot, more so than what I would usually, because I just had to make everything count. Usually it's just cruising through and just use the crank and just picking them off sort of thing. But it was so tough on day one. I was expecting it to be tough again. So I really had to spend time sort of dissecting the entire boat rather than just going to crank it. And if there's anything on the anchor block, that'll be fine. They might come up for tomorrow morning or something like that. But it was like, I really need to milk these for as much as I can. So yeah, so I become a little bit picky with the boat holes on day 2 with looking for ones that had a little bit of growth on them, not too much. And also starting to forward think, am I going to be fishing day 3? I need to start managing these spots sort of thing. So yeah, so I didn't fish all of the boat holes in 5 docks. I pretty much went through and I just wanted to get a bag. So I went through, I think I pulled another 32 forker out of there. And then I was just catching sort of 27s and stuff like that. And when I start doing that, it's okay, let's go to the next spot because I know there's fish here. I can come back here or I can just leave it for tomorrow sort of thing. So then I rip around to hen and chicken. Yeah. So, mate, there is one boat hole in there, a small boat hole, and it is where I got smoked by the big fish on day 1. And I went there on day 2 and got smoked again. And it's, wow, this is a joke. So, yeah, I'm not sure what goes on there, but anyways, it's just one little tiny little boat out. It's in shallower. It's out away from all the other boats, which is generally my favorite sort of boat to target as well. If you've got a whole sort of smack of them, 20 of them in a tight group, and then you'll just have one little old one sitting over there up on the sort of bit closer to shore. Generally, that's the one that's going to have the most fish and the biggest fish because it's a bit of a halfway point between all the holes and the feeding bank or whatever. So that would be my sort of favorite over the years. I guess that's the best ones that sort of have the best fish sort of thing. So yeah, so I went there and got belted. Then went to fish the rest of them, and I don't think I upgrade. Like, it was day 2. It was another one of those days where it was like a half a centimeter at a time upgrade sort of thing. You're upgrading a 28 for a 28.5, and then you'll get to 29.5, and you'll get a fat 28, and a fat 28 goes in and chucks a 29.5 out, that sort of thing. So I had the weigh bar out the whole 3 days, weighing fish, just the weight of them against each other. But yeah, that was it. That was pretty much the day of just chipping away. I had the 2 good fish that came pretty early. I think it was a 34 and a 33 or something like that, and the rest were all sort of 31s.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just that was. So I left hen and chicken, and I hit a few boat holes on the way down. Fished a run of boat holes out front of the Drummoyne Sailing Club, and yeah, mate, I can fish them quickly now, and I know what I'm looking for. I can go into a set of boat holes and just get a feel for it in the first sort of 10 boat holes, and that'll only take me 20 minutes to work over, and then I can just go, yeah, nah, this is no good, let's get out. So yeah, so then I went east of the bridge, and again, looking for that bigger fish, started picking off lots of little ones, and it's, nah, let's get out of here as well. So I went in, I don't even know what the bay was called, but I was just looking for, I actually ended up in this bay by mistake. I had been into Lane Cove, and I was coming out of there, and I wanted to go one bay around on the left-hand side. I don't know the name of all the bays, unfortunately, but I wanted to go one bay around on the left-hand side. And so I was going, and I ended up going past it and went into the next bay past it. And it was like, pulled up, and it was like, I don't think I'm in the right spot here. And I looked on the ABT map to make sure I could be in there to start with. And it's like, yeah, I can fish in here. And well, there's 20 or 30 boats. I'll fish that. Went in and got a few upgrades, just small upgrades, just pushed everything into the 30s. And it just looked good. It had like that sandstone edge with lots of big oyster bommies sort of thing, nice sand. And it's like those fish would pull off that edge and they'd be sitting under those boats right at the bottom of the low tide sort of thing. So it was just like, put that in the memory bank. I will be back. And then just kept moving around and just bumping from spot to spot, not upgrading at every spot, catching fish at every spot, but not getting anything that was going to give me a substantial more weight than what I already had. So it's just, there comes a point in the day where I've got a good bag. Now I'm going to start prospecting for stuff for tomorrow as well. So that was from about lunchtime-ish on day 2. I was fishing spots that I hadn't been to the previous few days.
Yeah. And you were speaking about getting smoked and getting drilled by a few fish over a couple of days.
Yeah.
I know you're a line and leader guy. What sort of line and leader were you running for the comp?
So I used the day 2 might have significantly improved for me as well, because I started with the sponsor karma and because I won the Daiwa Exist at the briefing.
Very nice.
So I put that on day 2 and it seemed to do all right.
Seemed to be good.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Can't complain. So I used X-Braid. It's the P.08, so it's 14 pounds.
Okay.
So even though it's 14 pound, it's still quite a thin diameter. And I use 6-pound Chinu Harris leader, which I think is a Yamatoyo brand. I've used it for years and years, mate. So that's the brand of stuff I use. But the thing was with this Australian Open it was one of the first times I've experienced it throughout the whole 3 days. And you'll see the footage that Morgo has put up tonight on the YouTube channel of the day 1 highlights. I'm absolutely just doing the weirdest stuff with that lure. Like usually it's just a throw out, wind it back nice and steady, get it under the boat hull, just wind it slow, give it a couple of little twitches, pause it, that sort of thing. Not long pauses, mate. I was like doing all sorts of weird shit with it. Like it was just, and I was finding that it was the really long, you'd do heaps of like erratic jerks and pulls and that sort of thing. And then you just let it stop, pause it. And it'd be like at the end of a 5 to 10 second pause and it'd just get smashed. But you would have the fish on and you'd pull the hooks as well. So I was fishing, like even though I have that line class, so it's a 6-pound leader, I was fishing the lightest drag I've ever fished with that. Like even Morgo said to me, he goes, you are fishing lighter drag. Like he was watching the highlights and I was talking to him today and he said, you're fishing lighter drag than I fished with 3 pounds straight through. And that's what I said to him. I said, it was the most frustrating of tournaments that I've ever had where I've just dropped so many fish.
Yeah.
I was changing hooks all the time to brand new trebles. Everything was getting upgraded to the decoy. I think it was the YS26s. And yeah, in my opinion, they're the prickliest hook you can have on that profile of jerkbait or crankbait. And yeah, they weren't eating properly. They weren't really hungry for that whole period. So they'd have a go at it, but they wouldn't actually put it in their mouth properly. So I had to lighten the drag right off because there were so many times where I hook a fish and it'd be on for a couple of seconds and it'd just be nothing. Or hook a fish and it'd be on for 10 or 20 seconds and then it just lets go. So the light drag and just the consistent, people will see on the footage, when I hook a fish, you can hear the drag like going, but I'm winding at the same time.
Okay.
So it's just to keep the steady pressure. Like I don't want them to get too far away from you. And I will use my finger at times when on the spool, so I won't touch the drag or lighten it or tighten it. I'll use my finger on the spool if I think it's starting to get me to a place where I don't want it to. That could be a reason why I lost a few fish on the first couple of days as well. But it's that sort of fine line of I need the bites as well, but I'll deal with it once I get it thing. So yeah, so it was really light drags, really erratic sort of retrieval and with lots of long pauses. So yeah, that was something that I had never ever experienced in my time of doing this sort of jerk baiting boat hulls. Never had I had a bite so weird.
Yeah. Even some of the stuff that you said about day one, where you have fish follow it. This is one of the advantage of having a lure that will suspend. Like if
Yeah,
you had a floater, that
yeah,
technique's not working.
correct. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yeah, most of the time I can, because the angle I position my boat to where I'm fishing, I can see the lure swim underneath, and I can't actually see the lure, but I know that it's probably 1 to 2 feet underneath the edge of the hull, and I can see bream. Like bream see it, and you can see the silver flash come after it.
Yeah.
And it's okay, I know this one's interested in it, or it starts to come towards the bow of the boat, and of course the bow comes up, so you can start seeing underneath the boat, you can see the lure, and you can see the bream shadows behind it. So that's where usually I would go, okay, something's behind it, I'll pause it, give it a couple little tiny jerks, and then you might get a bite. Whereas this time it was like pretty much, I actually started to realize that I got hooked up, I think it was 2 or 3 times on kanji, and I was just like, I was ripping it to try and dislodge the hook from the kanji or the weed or whatever it was. And then I'd be starting to drive in to try and get it off, just point the tip of the rod underneath the boat, and it usually comes off. And while I'm driving in to get it off, all of a sudden it'll start swimming off. And it was
Yeah.
like, okay. So then I actually tried to replicate that on a few of the cleaner boat hulls, where it was throw it in, wind it into the back of the boat about a meter, and then just give it some of the most ridiculous jerks you've ever could think for a
Yeah.
bream, and then pause it for ages, and then it was like on. It's like, shit, I've worked this out a bit, and
Yeah.
it definitely helped me day 2 and day 3, where how I was fishing it had completely almost shut down, and it reinvigorated the bite for me. I guess it got it going again. It was like, okay, I can stay on it. I've worked out they've changed a little bit, and I was able to stay consistent with continuing to get bites rather than have downtime.
Yeah. Okay. And that's very cool. So on day two, like we said, you built your bag. So you end up with just over 3.6, which had you
I ended up first after day 2.
after day two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So this is a good place to be in leading into day three.
Yes. Yeah. Nerve wracking, but yeah. It's one of them things, mate. I hate leading comps because it puts so much focus on, in my head anyways, puts so much focus on my decisions and the pressure of, am I making the right decision? And it comes down to, I don't want to be wasting time not being in the right place. That mentality I've always touched on of not wanting to waste time. I want to be catching fish the whole time I'm on the water, pretty much. Not you can't do it, but that's perfect
That's the goal.
worlds. Yeah. So yeah. But in saying that as well, I thought of last year in the Open, and I thought I was 4th after day 2 last year, and Daniel swooped and won. And it was like, I'm much more comfortable having this sort of 500 gram lead over everyone else than thinking I've got to catch up 500 grams. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword. So I was trying to more think about me having the 500 gram advantage rather than the decisions I was going to make tomorrow. So I had originally planned to go to Middle Harbour on day 2, and spoke to Morgo. I knew he went in there on day 1, and spoke to him. He just said, "Oh, it's horrible down there at the moment." So I know him and I fish boat holes a little bit different. And when I was in there pre-fish day, I know I caught them pretty easy in there. So I was, even though he said it was horrible, I was thinking, that sort of gets you in two minds. And I thought, no, I'm not going to go down there today. I will just keep it in the back of the mind for day 3 if I want to.
Sure.
So yeah, that was day 2, and that cancelled out Middle Harbour. And then so day 3, I was just going to do the same thing as I did on day 2. I couldn't drive away from where I was, if that makes sense. Like, I had refined those sort of 3 or 4 key areas that I was fishing in hen and chicken and Five Dock and Lane Cove, and there's a few bays. Just they've only got maybe a dozen boats in them, but they're just tiny little bays as you run up and down the Parramatta River there. So I had refined those areas to a point where I could fish them really quick, and if they weren't working, then I could go to some of the other areas that I fished, or even just go to areas that I hadn't seen over the 3 days sort of thing. So that was the plan anyways, run into Five Docks and then go up to Hen and Chicken. And I was thinking my processing of the weather and the tides and all that sort of stuff was, the tide was up a bit high, which isn't always great for the boat holes, but the southerly was due to kick in with some showers, and we had, as day 1 and day 2 was just so unlike Sydney Harbour Australian Open weather. It was just hot weather.
Yep.
Sun was beaming. There was not a breath of wind. It was glassed out, and it was like beautiful day to be at the beach, but just not so good for catching bream. I know, here I am thinking day 3, you beauty, like we've got 15, 20 knots southerly change coming. It's going to be a few showers, so squally showers, which is going to make it red hot for bream fishing.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can't drive away from what I've been catching, and with this change coming, this could be like awesome. And mate got there, and it was like, had to adjust straight away with wind and stuff, with setting up the boat, and had to adjust that straight away. And first two fish that I hooked got me back around the anchor rope. It's going to be one of them days, eh?
Yeah.
It's, and that sort of, that got my head a little bit. The adjustments that I had to make, and losing the first 2 fish, not big fish, they're not kilo fish or anything like that, but it's just probably wasn't in the right place with the boat to get it out properly, like still fishing really calm conditions set up, and wasn't on it. And then I'm driving around casting a boat thinking, you just got to switch on a bit, and trying to give myself all sorts of pep talks and being a bit rough on myself sort of thing. And I don't know what the observers are thinking at this point when I'm talking to myself and telling me to pull my head in and start doing shit properly and that. So started to chip away at it. I think I left Five Dock to go to Hen and Chicken, and I had a bag really quick, which is I had it quick. It was the slowest that I had the bag, but it was a bag before anyone else had, but it was only small. It was only like 1.92 kilo. So I think my big fish in there was 31 fork. I think I had maybe a 28, a 27, and 2 24s or 25. So it was a really tiny bag. And when it's like that, I start scoreboard watching and watch like in between spots, and it's, oh, who's catching him? Or, oh no, he's coming, or Muss is on him today, but Morgo's usually my barometer, because I know he will put spot on. He's pretty spot on with his weights and whatnot. So if Morgo's struggling, I'm not the only one that's having a hard time here. Morgo's struggling as well. And usually he's the barometer for the rest of the field, because if he's going to catch him, if anyone else is catching him. I started a little bit of scoreboard watching, getting nervous, sitting in the lead, but Muzz is starting to catch him, and Tim Vickers pulled a couple of good ones.
He did.
Get around to Hen and Chicken, and mate, it was tough, hey. It was tough, like hitting boats and not getting the bites or getting short strikes. And there was the boat that I lost the 2 fish off day before, pull in there, bang, 33 forker.
Like, you got it. That's what I was waiting for.
It's righto. It's not the 2 that I lost yesterday and the day before, but I will definitely take this 33 forker right now, because I really need you. Hit that one. And then this one has this next fish. There is footage of it, and it's a boat hole that it was probably the cleanest boat hole in the whole, like, of Hen and Chicken Bay underneath. And sometimes you will just get the odd big bream, like you think, oh, it's so clean, nothing's going to sit under that. But more times than not, I've had the big bream, same as the grand final, the big bream will sit on its own on this one really clean boat. So come around to this boat, and I'm jerking it through, and I've stopped it just near the sort of bow of the boat to pause it. not knowing or not seeing any fish. And I'm looking around to see, okay, I'm going to that boat hole next, and then that one, and that one, then I'm going to go to that group of boat holes there. And then my rod just went bang. And it was like, shit, that's on. And he's gone straight around the other side of the rope. And I'm like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
And so I've electricked into the mooring block, past the rod around the rope. The fish has swum out the other way, and I'm telling my observer, this is a good fish. Like, it's doing big fish things. And yeah, ended up fighting it for ages because it had the lightest drag on. And yeah, got it up, and it was 35 forker, and I was like, that makes things a bit better. And that put me up to 2.8 kilo, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I had spent more time in hen and chicken and 5 docks than I really wanted to. So time was starting to get on. I went to another group set of boats that I hadn't fished in hen and chicken. It was just there was probably a dozen boats in a little bay that I was saving for a spot where it hadn't been hit, that was still fresh. Went in there, and I think I upgraded a fish just by weight. It was the same length, but it was just a little bit heavier on the weigh bar. So I did that. So I did that for the next, at every spot I went to, I reckon I did that for the next couple of hours until it would have been until probably 12:30 when I got out of that area of Parramatta River between sort of the Lane Cove and Hen and Chicken area, and I went past Lane Cove to that bay that I'd accidentally stumbled on day one.
Yeah.
And went in there, and the wind was just ideal for it. Like, it was just, this bay come from the south, and it just meandered around into the north a little bit. Like, it wasn't a very deep bay, like a massive bay in. And that wind we had that would have been a 10, 15 knot southerly was just blowing in there perfectly. And the water was perfect. The tide was down, and it drove in there. I thought, looks really good, looks perfect. And I started catching fish straight away. And it was like, these are coming a little bit easier here. And it was a bit after 12, and I'm thinking, I really want to get to, there was 2 sections of it. So it was the section I was fishing, and there was a little section down the back that had six boats that the day before, I think it was, I pulled 2 late upgrades off down the back there. And I really wanted to get down to there because I thought there was good fish down there. So anyway, so moving through and just picking fish off, and same thing, weigh bars out, getting maybe a 10 to 15 gram upgrade, same size fish, but just a little bit more weight. So at that stage, I had the 35 fork, I think it was a 32 fork, and I had a 30 fork, and I had a 28 and a 29.
Okay.
So at that point, I thought I would be close to 3 kilo.
Yeah.
And I was watching the scoreboard, and I'm trying to do the math in the head. If Muss has got that, he'd give him 500 grams each way, sort of thing. I'd still have a bit more. So you're trying to work out what people are really putting in as well.
Yeah.
And you underestimate a bit. So let's give him 500 grams more.
Yeah.
So you're trying to do that sort of thing as well. Just plays with your head. It's a great thing, but just plays with your head. So we were cruising through there, and it was one of them things. It was like there was like 4 or 5 boats that were down in the back corner that I'd fished 2 days prior, both times, not caught anything, and they were pretty clean sort of boats. So I was so close. I was this close to just going, nah, pull the electric up and let's go down the back other end of the bay where I caught these upgrades the other day.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh, I'm here now, just do it. And so threw in and hooked what I thought was going to be the biggest bream in the world. Did all the massive head shakes, the exact same bream runs, called it to my observer. This is going to be the one that wins the Open. It's a huge fish. It's the biggest bream ever. And it comes up as a big salmon. So,
Okay.
yeah, heart was dead set broken at that point. Even told the observer that, yeah, I thought at there was a period there during that fight that I was that nervous because I knew it was going to be the fish that won the Open for me. And then I see it and it's not. It's a friggin' salmon. I've still got the same in the bag as what I had 5 minutes ago.
That's it. And if you had lost it,
yeah,
you would have gone, I just lost the Open, not
exactly.
knowing.
So I got that in, dealt with that, moved to the next boat. And the very next boat had I got rid of the 28 for another 31. I said to my observers, just got that 29 forker and I've got everything sorted out with being over 30 fork. And I said I just wanted that sort of that average, so I knew I would have a bit over 3 kilo. And I thought at that point I was probably on par with my day one bag, so around that 3.1, 3.2. Had the 2 boat holes left to go, cast in and clunk. And it's like, you can tell when the big fish hit it, it's almost, it feels like it's hung up on kanji, and you just feel it. You just feel the first head shake, and it's, this is a good fish. And then it can't, and then usually the big ones actually come out shaking their head. They're not aware they're hooked yet. So when you've got it on and you first hook it, you start pulling out and you can just see it comes out side on and it's just shaking the crap out of its head, trying to get the lure out of its mouth. And then it'll start doing its thing, running around, doing a few dives and that sort of thing, fighting a bit harder. So I did that, and I said, this has got the 29 out of the bag. I just got to get it in. And then it got come up side on at the front of the electric, and it's, holy shit, this is bigger than I thought. And then got it in the net, mate, and it was the kicker of the day. It was the 35 fork, I think it was 35 and a half fork, something like that. And it was It was a solid fish, and that was the fish that I said, I think that's enough. I think with everything, that's how the bite had gone that day for me, I thought that's going to be hard to peg back.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So you've got that point where in your mind, I've just won the Open. But in actual fact, if you dial the clock back a few hours, you'd actually won it back in hen and chicken. You already had it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, mate. That's I guess that comes down to a few different things. Like you're in that competitive world of you never know sort of thing. And it's, although I had that bag in hen and chicken, Morgo showed in the last hour of the last day of the Open, you can come from 12th to wherever he was to second in 2 bites.
2 bites.
And that is always on my mind, that someone is just a big bite away from catching me, or I'm going to come second again, or that sort of thing. So that's what I'm always thinking about. That's how easy someone can peg you back in those big fish arenas like Sydney Harbour.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's part of the fun. It's like I said, you already had it. You didn't know, so you had all that nerves and all that stress.
Yeah, and that's why we do it. Hey, it's, if you had went fishing and by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning you go, I don't need to fish anymore, I might just go and do nothing. It wouldn't be any fun at all.
That's right.
That stress is what brings us back.
Yeah, and when we were talking about it in the live chat that we had, we were looking at it going, okay, if you can get rid of those 2 last fish, it's going to be really, if he upgrades, it's going to be really hard to beat him. Obviously.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of that weather made it harder.
Yeah.
The fish didn't bite until really late. So the guys that were probably east of the bridge, the wind had blown up that much that they had to allow themselves some extra time to get back. So they were actually missing the bite window. And I didn't know that there was going to be a bite window. I'm pretty sure other guys didn't either. But I think that sort of bite window was maybe like a 12, 12:15 sort of thing, or 12:30 even. Because I definitely noticed from just after 12 o'clock, the fish started to come a lot easier, and they start actually eating properly and not stuffing around with it and like short striking it and that sort of thing. And Morgo said the same thing where he said, lunchtime, it was like someone just rang the dinner bell, and it was like the stick minnow just switched them on, and these big fish just started coming out from everywhere. And I noticed the same thing where I was. So it was just, I was lucky enough, mate, to be able to be close enough to the finish line where I could utilize all that time of fishing. And then minimize the time running back to the finish. So so it was one of them things. It's just, you say, they're the bites that I had to win the Open, but I think it was actually this year for me, it was actually some of the decisions maybe, or some of those other 1% factors that you don't always think about that were actually the things that worked out that actually won the Open for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was an interesting win. And if you go back to day one, you lost those fish. There is many times where that would be, okay, that was your shot.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
and you look back and go, if I landed those, I would have won.
Yeah.
But in this case, it wasn't the case. You obviously came through.
Yeah, it's one of them things, mate. I think everyone has those sort of moments, and I think you when you do win it, you only think about that big fish moment that you did get to land that victory, and you forget about those ones that you lost earlier in the day or on day one, or those little decisions that you made that wasn't the right thing to do or whatever, and you just highlight what you did. And yeah, I think it's just one of them things. It's yeah, I still, even though I've brought the trophy home, I wasn't confident, and I was on day 3 with the decisions I was making. Like, I was just in my own head for most of the time, just I'm doing the wrong thing here. Just didn't feel right. And then like I guess the live scoreboard helps me in a sense that if I see other guys struggling, it's like I just got to stick my head down and keep casting, doing what I'm doing. Don't start chasing new spots. Don't start chasing fish. Just keep going. And that can be a double-edged sword, I guess. If you're not catching them and other guys are catching them, you're going to start running around like a headless chook, probably chasing fish. But yeah, I think that day 3, the looking at the live scoreboard, seeing that it wasn't going great for everyone, that everyone was feeling the same hurt as what I was feeling at that time. And then, yeah, because I don't know how many times I pulled up at Hen and Chicken or some of the other bays that were just, and these are just bays that they're not secret bays. You just be cruising along the main Parramatta River and you'll just see sort of half a dozen boats in a small bay that had some tide on them. So it was, once I started to wear out the shallow bays like Hen and Chicken and Five Docks, I started chasing tide, and then I started chasing clean water. And so yeah, and every time I pulled up at a new set of boat holes, it's like I was saying to my observers, so I zigged when I should have zagged. And I start saying shit like that in my head and to my observers. I'm zigging here and I should be zagging. And it's just one of them things, mate. That tournament fishing, you talk yourself into losing all the time, but sometimes you win.
That's it. And look, I think that probably gives a lot of people hope, because given where you are at the moment, what you've won and what you've achieved, if that's what's going through your head, I think that just gives people a bit of hope. So
yeah, but it's just one of them things. That's why we do it. Hey, it's competitive sports fishing, and if you were just going out winning all the time, it's not that much fun. So it's the losing that brings you back, and it's the drive to wanting to do better that keeps coming back more and more.
yeah, I think that's true. Often it's funny. I feel when I win, I want to go back, and then when I lose, I want to go back because I don't like losing.
Yeah, mate, it's in my, so I didn't, off topic a little bit, I didn't do the non-boater thing when I first started, and I've got a real competitive streak in me. And when the first 3 or 4 years, I wasn't on the podium at all, mate, and it burnt. It was one of them things where, like, it was, especially if it was a local comp and I'd go out and do no good, I'd be on the water the next day. I'd be on the water Monday and trying to catch them and trying to work it out. And that's what made me better, I think, like trying to better myself and not just going, oh, it's fishing, just these things happen or whatever. Yeah, I didn't like that at all. So yeah, so I think that's just the competitive sort of person that comes out in me. So yeah, I think everyone hates losing. And I don't know too many, that lots of people will say, oh yeah, I just do it for the fun and I like catching up with the boys and all that sort of stuff. I don't know too many people that actually do honestly do that. I think most people are there to come first, and not many people like coming second or further down the list.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. I reckon that's a great rundown. The only thing we didn't cover was the rods that you were using.
Yep. Okay. So when I'm cranking the boat hulls, I'm using the Samaki. I don't know if you can see that.
The Zing Extreme?
No, it's the Samaki C12.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Version 3. So that's, I think they're 3 to 8 pound. Mate, this one is that old. It has the print starting to wear off on it, so I can't actually see exactly what it is, 3 to 8 pound, but I'm pretty certain it is 3 to 8 pound. This rod has won lots. It's Queensland Opens and Australian Opens and grand finals. It's been in my boat for a number of years now, this one, so it's a favourite. And of course, the Exist.
The new Exist.
The new Exist, mate. So yeah, it went on after day one, and I started catching them too after that. Yeah. I don't know if it had something to do with the reel or not, but I did discuss with Morgan. It was definitely Karma's sponsor, we're saying. So yeah, just the 2,000 or 2,500 size reel's fine to do it. And yeah, I believe the Samaki C12 version 3 is the best rod because I can feel with cranking of the boat hulls, you have to, and this is why the Samaki lure is going to be so great, is you still have to have the action and the vibration through the lure. Otherwise, you're just pulling a hunk of plastic through the lure with nothing. And you can overtune lures so you lose that sort of that thud or whatnot. I can feel that through this rod. So if I overtune a lure and I'm not feeling the vibration or the swimming action of the lure, I can feel it through the rod straight away. So we'll retune it or whatever. So I just think this rod's really perfect for the feel of that lure in the tip. And then you've got good fighting ability halfway down with plenty of strength. And it's nice and light to throw all day, and it's nice to hold in your hand. So I don't think myself I would want to look for another rod to do it, but I'm sure there's plenty of other rods out there that would suit it, but this is my favourite.
This is your favourite. And I've heard that's totally not up for sale at the moment.
This rod is definitely not up for sale, mate, no.
Fair enough. All right, mate, that's a great rundown. Now, third time open, what did you get to take home for this one?
I got the $6,000 cash, mate, and like I reckon I would fish these opens for no money. I just want that. I just want those brass trophies and those badges, mate. That's what it's about for me. And yeah, it's just one of them things. Like, you don't really think of the achievements or stuff like that until the dust settles a bit. And to be able to do it 3 times has just been, to do it once is awesome. To do it 3 times is so cool. I did my first Australian Open. So this is my 7th Australian Open. I did my first Australian Open and I come 16th or 17th. And it was just, that was the first time I'd been on Sydney Harbour. And it was just like brain explosion. Like, it was just, how cool is this? I just want more of it. And yeah, and after that first one, and that was the one Cromo won, and just seeing how it was just so cool. Like, it was just such a big thing. Like, everyone around him and Cromo himself was just like, I didn't know how important the Australian Open was. Like, it was the first time I'd really had any involvement with it. So yeah, from that moment on, I wanted to win one. To be sitting here now to say that I've won 3, that's just, I can't wait to win number 4 now.
Fair enough. All right. So you got your $6,000. You got to take home Greg for another year.
Yep.
I think there was another plaque.
Yep. Yeah. So the big brass brim is the perpetual trophy.
Yeah.
And you get another Australian Open sort of Joey Urquhart plaque trophy sort of thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mate, that is awesome. Mate, the only thing to do before we shoot off is, mate, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Mate, there's a list of people and I always forget someone, and that's why I'm better off on the Facebook. I can actually sit down over half an hour and write it out and think about it.
Yeah.
But firstly, mate, I have to thank Nicole and Steve from ABT. To the logistics of organising a comp like that just must be mind-boggling. And you can tell at the end of the last day of the last weigh-in, it looks like it's just a big exhale moment from both of them. We're done. It's gone okay, sort of thing. Without that sort of support, comps like this don't happen. Yourself and Tommy for the show during the day, that generated so much talk between anglers and so much talk with getting messages and stuff in the afternoon and the evening. So I was watching this, I was watching that. It's like, how the hell did you see that?
Yeah.
And it's like, you were fishing on day 2. I didn't even know where you guys were. And he's like, day 2, you were fishing right behind where Tom and Deethy were talking. And it's like, oh, was I? It's like, yeah. And it's like, so there's that sort of thing. And my own personal sort of thanks, Samaki, New Look Floors, Cranker, Yacht Armour, Tony at Sporties, Adam Costa. Adam Costa's always one to, if he knows I like certain things, and as soon as he gets his hands on them, he messages me straight away. Got these in, dude. Cool. Load me up. I'll buy them. So mate, so there's those sort of guys. Dan at PML, and there's always someone I'll forget. But this year also, it takes a lot for me to get away now, because my kids are older now and they do lots of sports, so it's like training and school and all that sort of stuff. So the family other members of the family have to stand up, so older kids and stuff like that, and they just step in and do it without any whinging or complaining, and help out to get kids to sports training and school and all that sort of stuff while I'm away. I think they think I'm having a great big holiday for 8 or 9 days, not considering the stress I'm under.
Rude.
But no, I really appreciate all that goes on at home when I'm away as well, to hold down the fort and make sure life goes on at home while I'm off chasing dreams.
Exactly. And look, I assume that on day 3, when that live stream's on, I assume all the families tuned in, watching, waiting.
Because it's a weekday and it finishes at 2:00. The kids are at school, but my oldest son that was helping out with the school pickups and stuff, he runs his own New Look Floors business as well, and he's I just stopped working. I was watching the Wayne, and he was watching you guys. He was grinding floors with his earphones on, listening to you and Tommy Slater while he was grinding floors. It was all happening, mate. The coverage was going everywhere. So it was really good. And as soon as that, I was getting messages before I had weighed in. I had put my phone on silent because it was in my pocket, just going crazy. Like the boys, like Mark's and a few of the boys are just messaging me. You got it? What do you got? Come on, hurry up, weigh in. What are you waiting for? Have you got? Am I wasting my freaking time watching this or what? Like stuff like that.
A lot of helpful stuff.
Yeah. And then as soon as it ticks over that you're the winner, the phone goes off as well. And that the other people I have to really thank, the people that during and after the comp that send messages. It's one of them things. It's so hard to get back to everybody. Like you literally have hundreds of messages on Instagram and Facebook. Yes. And then you do a post and it generates more messages. And mate, I'm still trying to get back to people that sent me a message last week during the Open or just after the Open. It means a lot to, especially during the Open. After day 2, you're leading, you're half panicking about what you're going to do tomorrow. You're stressing about whether it's going to work or not. And you're just getting some of your mates, some are just random people that you've met maybe once or twice, just going for you. That's cool. It makes it worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes those messages help you keep going in the tough times.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I know I spoke to Scotty after day 2 that had those drums at Hawkesbury, and he was just up me, like, just, you got to get it, mate. Come on, you need to get this. I'll get it, mate. Don't worry. You'll be right. I'll get it for you. So, because he was supposed to be there fishing it, and obviously had that accident at Hawkesbury. So, yeah, mate, it's those sort of things that Brett Penprace had a few sort of dramas going on, and he had given me some encouraging words and stuff. And it's those sort of things that when it is getting grindy and the bite's hard, you just take a couple of seconds in your own sort of head and you think, I'm privileged enough and fortunate enough to be here doing this, and they're unable to be here, and they're sending me the messages, and you just put life into perspective and just keep casting, mate.
Very good. All right, mate, that's a great interview. I really appreciate you taking your time.
No worries, mate.
Congratulations on number 3.
Yes.
And, mate, hopefully this time next year we get to have another chat.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'll definitely. Morgo's not going to let the 3 sort of thing go, so I'm going to have to win 4 to say and beat him to 4 to say that I'm in front of him.
I think if it's been on the podcast, he's won it 2.5 times. I think this is where the buck stops.
It's factual.
Exactly that. All right, mate. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm really appreciative of Jamie spending the time to run through and tell us exactly what was going on. He sent me through those couple of clips, which I put up, as well as the map, which you saw back in the start of the episode. So I'm going to leave it there for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching all the way through. I can't wait to talk to you again next week on the Bream Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.